Hello, welcome back. In previous videos we have discussed the choice faced by management regarding how to source their management information systems, either bespoke development or purchasing a license to use off-the-shelf packages from software vendors. For companies that decide to adopt packages, however, there is an alternative to acquiring a license for a commercial package. Implement an open source package. Similarly, whenever software tools and products have to be implemented, ranging from office tools to operating systems or database management systems, companies can choose between licensing commercial products and adopting open source versions. Open source software products, including open source management information systems, are generally developed by a large dispersed group of programmers. As opposed to commercial software developed generally by a company and licensed for a fee, open source is free for anyone to use. Besides being free, it can be modified by whoever wants to. The name open source derives from the fact that its source code is open, in the sense that anyone can see it and change it. The source code of a software product, such as a management information system, is the code programmers actually write, in whichever programming language they use. It is, therefore, understandable and modifiable by another similarly skilled programmer. Open source licenses grant users the right to freely utilize and modify this code. If they impose conditions, they are generally aimed at promoting further sharing, for example, by requesting that any modifications are also openly distributed. In contrast, when a company acquires a license to a commercial product, often it does not get the source code, but rather a compiled code, a sort of black box that can be executed but is very hard to understand or modify. Besides, the terms of the commercial license usually forbid any attempt to tamper with the code or reverse engineering the compiled code to reconstruct the software code. Microsoft Windows would be an example of a commercial operating system. Linux is the best known example of open source operating system. Microsoft Office tools, such as Excel, are commercial products. The Apache OpenOffice is a competing open source Office suite. Nowadays, open source alternatives exist for nearly all software products, including management information systems. Later on in this course, we shall analyze Odoo, an open source ERP, or Integrated Management Information System, that provides an alternative to commercial products, such as SAP ERP, particularly for small companies. According to the Open Source Initiative, open source software is software developed by and for the user community. It is software that can be freely used, changed, and shared in modified or unmodified form by anyone. Open source software is made by many people and distributed under licenses that comply with the open source definition. They suggest that nowadays the term open software has taken on a wider meaning. It is associated with a set of values, the open source way, such as open exchange, collaborative participation, transparency, and community development. Since the word open elicits positive traits such as easy to work with, no lock-in, non-proprietary, the term is often abused, to a point in which all software vendors claim that their proprietary products are the most open in the market. They may have a point regarding their ability to interact, coexist, and cooperate with products from other providers, but certainly this should not be confused with a much more stringent definition of open source software. This open source development idea has spread to other environments besides software, providing for universal access via a free license to a product's design or blueprint, and universal redistribution of that design or blueprint, including subsequent improvements to it by anyone. Thus, to recap, besides developing software from scratch, which will normally be quite expensive, or buying a license for a pre-written commercial off-the-shelf product, companies may choose to select an open-source alternative, and, if appropriate, adapt it to their specific circumstances. Hopefully, the set of introductory concepts covered in this first unit or week have paved the way for the more in-depth analysis that we shall carry out in the forthcoming units. You can now review all these concepts by practicing with a few questions in the video's quiz. And then you would be all set for your first week or unit test to start building your grade for this course. Thank you. I will see you in the next unit or week.